Holden's proud to be the driving force behind the ANZ Championship and proud to bring you all new Holden Cruise. Here now.
And so it comes down to this, the last round of the ANZ Championship. The makeup of the Final Four still yet to be determined. It's going to be a thrilling finish to the season. The Melbourne Vixens chasing top spot. Their opposition today, the Central Pulse, celebrating a breakthrough win last week. Their first win in the ANZ Championship. As I say, good afternoon and welcome to Hisense Arena in Melbourne. Joining me in the commentary position this afternoon, former Australian goal shooting star Eloise Southby-Howbish. And Eloise, the Central Pulse would still be on cloud nine after the result last week.
Well, they certainly would. They definitely come in today's match with full of confidence. What a thrilling victory it was to beat the reigning premiers from last year, the Sydney Swifts. Obviously, they were devastated, but all credit to the Pulse. They hung on when in the dying seconds to actually clinch the match, and it was a one-point victory and very well deserved from a very young team full of up-and-coming superstars that probably one day will play in the Silver Fern lineup.
Well, top spot is up for grabs this afternoon, but fourth spot is still up for grabs, a result that has just been completed in New Zealand, and they still look like they might just finish fourth ahead of the Firebirds.
At this stage, that's what it looks like. What a tough win over there. Look, the Swift season still has not been good, but great, all credit there to the Steel to put themselves in fourth.
And what about this ladder? It is going to be an absolutely thrilling finish to the regular season. As we mentioned, the Firebirds just fifth, just outside it at the moment, but top spot is up for grabs. The Magic and the Vixens, as I say, a welcome, in fact, the coach of the Vixens, Julie Hornweg, who's been good enough to join us pre-match. And Julie, you look a little nervous looking at that ladder. Then it's going to be an exciting finish.
Today's an important day for us tomorrow as well. So yes, it'll be very exciting.
How important is it for your side to concentrate this afternoon when I guess they know what's just around the corner and the final's not too far away?
We've been about playing quality netball all year, and today's just another opportunity to do that. Then a couple of changes in our lineup to spark some enthusiasm and to give others opportunity.
And Emma Abweze obviously came in as an English import, and she's starting today at goalkeeper. That's an interesting one. Was it more a fact of putting Chatfield out on Griffin today as one of their key players?
Oh, that's one reason, and Bianca kind of gets put at the back all the time, and she is a fantastic goal defence and likes to run and enjoy getting involved in the game through court. And Julie's had some wonderful games at Wing D, so it just looked like a nice combination to try.
And Sarah Wall played last week a full game, played well, earns a starting cap today.
Oh yes, she played some super netball, but Chelsea Nash has also been playing some quality netball, so you might see some changes there today.
And are you looking to use your bench? You've done that a little bit over the past few weeks.
Oh, we've got some quality netballers sitting on our bench, and so if we can get them out on court, that'd be fantastic too.
I wanted to ask you about your co-captain in Sherelle McMahon. You've been coaching her for some time now. Does she ever surprise you? She just seems to get better and better.
Oh, I always like being surprised. And that's the exciting thing about coaching. If it was the same thing week in, week out, it would get quite boring. But, she is always adds a wow factor to our game, and it's just fantastic to see her playing that sort of netball again.
Obviously the business end of the season, as we like to call it. When it gets to this time of the year, do you reflect on what happened 12 months ago and how, I guess, hard you were stung back then?
No, we just look forward. If you keep looking back, then you find negatives. We want to look forward and find all the positives in what we're doing.
One last one. Are you barracking for the Adelaide Thunderbirds for the first time ever tomorrow?
I'm actually going to watch the game, and you might hear me go Thunderbirds a couple of times. We'll wait and see, but I'm going over to have a look at the game.
There you go, you heard it first. The Melbourne Vixens coach Julie Hornweg is barracking for the arch rival, the Adelaide Thunderbirds. Julie, thanks so much for joining us pre-match. All the best this afternoon, and more importantly for the final series.
Thank you very much.
Julie Hornweg, the coach of the Vixens, been very successful so far this season. They've only dropped one game. They'll be looking to finish on a high and finish on top of the ladder. We've got the opening centre pass right after this. It's the Vixens taking on the Central Pulse. Welcome back to Hisense Arena in Melbourne. The Melbourne Vixens playing for top spot on the ladder on the eve of the final series. And it's not going to be just a thrilling finish to the regular season in the ANZ Championship, but it's also going to be a thrilling finish in the terrific competition that we refer to as the Holden Cruise Player of the Year Award. Eloise, just 4 players are in contention heading into the last 48 hours of the regular season. How do you see it panning out?
Well, I think it's going to be tough. I'm one of the voters today, so I'm really, struggling with this one because both Julie Corletto and Sherelle McMahon are in contention to win a Holden Cruise. What a fantastic prize there from Holden. And look, if you have a look at the leaderboard, Natalie Von Berto and Casey Williams are up there on 19 votes, and they actually play against one another tomorrow. So we'll know the result of their match and who, if they get any votes, each of them by 4:30 tomorrow. Julie Corletto and Sherelle McMahon, they need to vote 3s or 2s or 1s if you're Julie Corletto to get up there and maybe be in contention. So it's a really tough one, but hopefully they both play well because I'd love to see them up there.
And it'll make your job even tougher. Now, we'll know the result of that around 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned tomorrow afternoon to find out the result there. What about the opposition today, the Central Pulse, Eloise? Let's have a look at their starting lineup. 25 losses in a row and then the breakthrough win last week.
Look, I think it was a great win for them. A gutsy win, winning by 1 over the Sydney Swifts. A couple of the key players. Camilla Lee's in the centre. I think she's certainly one to watch. I think she'll be a Silver Fern in the future. She's had a great season at centre. She starts there today. Kushla Lichwag, I think she's got so much determination. She's really underrated as a player. She'll have a great battle against Sarah Wall today at wing defence. And Althea Byfield, the Jamaican import at goalkeeper, she really is crucial for them. She's got to stop Thwaites in order for them to have a chance of victory.
In effect, they've got nothing to lose as they play their last game for season 2009 this afternoon. I wanted to ask you quickly about the New South Wales Swifts. Obviously, this side, the Pulse, their breakthrough win came against the reigning champions, the Swifts, last week, and then we saw the result from earlier, the Swifts losing today in their last game. What have you made of their season?
Look, I think it's been a terrible one for them, and they'd be utterly gutted with their performance, but for them it's about now having a break from netball. Obviously, there'll be some girls on Australian commitments, but just regrouping. They've got a really young defensive line, and look, they've lost 2 quality defenders in 2 years. Obviously, Liz Ellis, one of our co-commentators, and Selena Gilson, and people underrate them, and I think that's made a big difference to their lineup. So hopefully next year they come out firing.
And I mentioned the fact that their mindset might be nothing to lose. How difficult will that make it for the Vixens when they're probably, really thinking percentage today?
Well, they will, and I think the Pulse will go out there, as you said, with that attitude, nothing to lose, and funnier things have happened. Teams have come out with playing the game of their lives, last game for the season. They're away from home. Look, they can put it on today, I think, and hopefully they do and make it a good contest. But on the other hand, the Vixens, they want a percentage-boosting win.
Paula Griffin is probably the best player for the Pulse. Looms as their match winner, was instrumental in their big win last week. She's the only Silver Ferns current member at the moment. She'll have a tough ask today.
She will, and she's playing on Bianca Chatfield, but that's unusual for Bianca Chatfield to be out at goal defence, so it'll be a tough contest for her, but good to see her out there. But yeah, Paula Griffin, she needs to shoot well. She's got to have high volume and high percentage, and if she can do that against quality defenders, then look, the Silver Ferns, will be looking at her, but also her team will value a performance like that.
Well, it is a tough ask for the Pulse this afternoon. It's their last game for season 2009. They'll be giving it everything, no doubt about that, and certainly looking to celebrate the season when it's all over. We've got the opening centre pass right after this. The Melbourne Vixens hosting the Central Pulse. The two captains coming together for the Allied Pickford's coin toss. Looks like the Pulse might have won that one as well. Perhaps it was Bianca Chatfield from the Vixens, Eloise. The Vixens, short turnaround this week. They beat the Tactics on this court by 28 goals on Monday night. And this week would have been all about recovery. Eloise, let's have a look at these key matchups.
Look, what a contest it's going to be here today. Abweze getting her second start for the year at goalkeeper. And look, I think she's going to have a big job on her hands there at goalkeeper, filling that void. Bianca Chatfield at goal defence on Paula Griffin. Look, Griffin played a great match last week for the Pulse, and I think it'll be great for her to stand up today. Julie Corletto, very interesting that she's at wing defence, playing against Milner Olsen there at wing attack for the Pulse. And the centre, look, this matchup is one to watch. I think Camilla Lees versus Natasha Chocolate, both are in form, and I think it'll be a great contest and hit out for a full 4 quarters. Sarah Wall at wing attack against Kushla Lichwak, the captain for the Pulse. Lichwak probably should win that battle, but it'll be a great contest for Walls. McMahon there at goal attack. Sensational performance last week against Manu. Caitlin Thwaites at goal shooter. Althea Byfield, the Jamaican import for Pulse at goalkeeper. And the reserve players there. The ones to watch, Renee Hallinan, I think, will come on at some stage during the match. And Chelsea Natch there can play at wing attack.
Renee Hallinan, I wanted to ask you, 22-year-old, played every game in wing defence last season and just about every game this season, heading into the final series, and she started on the bench last week, and again, she must be doing it pretty tough at the moment.
Look, I think she would. I think she'd be disappointed she's not getting the start, but I've watched her and her form has been good. So, look, maybe it is just a chance of playing other people that Julie Hornwig's trying to look at, just to see what other options she can use, because I really do think Renee Hallinan will be on the court come finals time.
Renee Hallinan right of screen there, and no doubt about it will be in contention when the Australian Diamond squad is named later this month. Our courtside reporter this afternoon is men's international Dan Ryan. Dan, welcome, and what did you make of a few surprises in the starting lineup for the Vixens?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I guess the key, I think, for today's game is going to be that mid-court position for the Vixens. I'm really interested to see how Julie Hornwig runs that wing attack bib for the duration of the game. She's trialled 3 players there so far this season in Chelsea Nash, Renee Hallinan, and most recently Sarah Wall. This area of the court is going to be crucial for the Vixens next week against the Magic. I reckon the answer for Julie Hornwig lies in which player offers enough support and brings out the best in skipper Sherelle McMahon. Nash has been the first choice wing attack for the majority of the season, but just last week against the Tactics, Sarah Wall got her first start and put in a terrific performance against the Tactics alongside McMahon. In that game, McMahon was simply outstanding. I reckon by far the best game she's had this year, and probably maybe over the past 2 years as well. She was unstoppable in every aspect of her game, and as a consequence, Sarah Wall gets another start at wing attack today. So just keep an eye on how she runs that position today. It could give us a little insight into who gets the nod for the finals next week.
Will do. Terrific. Thanks for that, Dan. Looking forward to hearing from your comments throughout the course of the match. Now, Eloise, we've got the calculators by our sides this afternoon. To get top spot, the Vixens need to boost their percentage. If the Magic wins by 1 goal tomorrow, we understand that the Vixens must win by at least 28 this afternoon. So, in effect, the Vixens are looking at a plus 28 win today to win top spot.
Look, I think they would actually be trying to aim for around a 40-goal win, which is a big ask. I think the Pulse, as we've spoken about before, they're going to come out with nothing to lose. So when you've got a team like that, it is very hard to stay focused and really look at your job and try and build on a lead each quarter. But that's what the Vixens, they need to do, and if they want to finish top, that's what they're going to have to do today.
Well, the good news for them is that they scored 63 goals on Monday night, and they have recorded the highest score so far this season, which was 74 goals in Perth against the West Coast Fever. That was back in round 7. Would they have spoken about that pre-match? Would Julie Hornwig have said, look, we know that we are capable of scoring, putting at least 75 goals on the board. Let's do it today.
They would have spoken about it, and they know they're capable of it as a unit. What they need to do is not muck around or play with the ball too much, play direct netball, go through the mid-court channel and try and hit the targets, you know, Thwaites and McMahon there. They've been shooting at 84% each for the season. Get the ball in their hands as quickly as possible and put the ball in.
These two sides haven't played since round 1 last year. The Vixens won that by 17. They'll be looking to make it a little bit of a bigger margin this afternoon as we prepare to get underway. A terrific crowd in Saturday afternoon netball live across Australia on 1. And it is the youngster in Camilla Lees who will get us underway and take this opening centre pass. She's got the big job on the veteran in Natasha Chocolate, and getting her hands on the ball a couple of times early. So the Pulse moving it forward. A huge confidence boost if they could put the first one on the board, and they might just do that through Amaru Tibble. In fact, she gives it off to Griffin, and they do just that.
Amaru Tibble, she really looked for that shooter-to-shooter pass there, which they need to keep looking to get the short shots.
So Vixens move forward here as a result of that penalty. Wall looking to feed it inside. And Thwaites will take it. Coming off a good game Monday night, Caitlin Thwaites.
What Manu did then was just leave a little bit too early and knock into Thwaites. As we see a deflection there, but great
Huge
pick-up.
deflection.
Great pick-up there by Sarah Wall. You're always told as a wing attacking centre, do not leave that goal circle edge until you know the ball's gone through the hoop.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is Byfield with the big block on Thwaites. And just a little bit intimidating early days for Caitlin Thwaites.
Well, Byfield does have that aerial ability that all the Jamaicans have, so interesting to watch her.
She's got very long arms, which always helps when you're a defender, I'm guessing, Eloise.
It sure does.
Abwazi up the other end, looking to make a most of her chances, as Eloise mentioned before. It's just her second start for the season. The English import played for the Fever last year, made the switch across to the Vixens and spent a lot of time on the sidelines. Wall, again, feeding it inside to her captain, McMahon. She won't miss from there. Sherelle McMahon,
who was on fire last week.
arguably her best game of the season. 32 from 36 she shot last Monday night here on this very same court at 89%. So,
and she did not miss in the first half. She was sensational, and I think it was because she was rested. Doesn't get rested very often, McMahon. Give her a rest, though, when she comes out like that. You'd be wanting resting her every second week.
On cue, comes up with the intercept. And put that down to Sherelle McMahon, because she was the one that was able to win back possession for the Vixens. Already out to a little handy lead. Amaru Tibble with the long bomb over Abwazi.
Abwazi just landed a bit too early there. She needs to hold that jump, make sure she times it and doesn't give away the penalties.
Very young shooting forward line, aren't they? The Central Pulse, Griffin and Amaru Tibble.
Amaru Tibble shooting at 84% for the season and Griffin 79%. So they can both get in the 80% range today. They're in with a chance.
Captain using Lees, the centre, and then goes over the top of Chatfield.
Griffin standing back, but not actually releasing the ball in time. So called for a 3-second penalty there.
So both shooters for the visitors, the Pulse missing early opportunities, and perhaps just a sign, a little nervous, a little intimidated, coming over to the Vixens and playing in their own backyard as McMahon gives it off to Thwaites.
That's a great little shooter-to-shooter combination there. And that's what, as a goaling combination, you want to try and get one of your shooters in a really good position to put up a short shot. One-on-one defence there by the Vixens.
Bounce pass to Amaru Tibble. Terrific rebound. How athletic was that from Griffin?
It was a great rebound, and offensive rebounds, I think, are very good for Paula Griffin. She's 9th on the ladder out of 10 players here. I've got 17, so that makes it 18 for the season.
They're rare, aren't they, the opportunities? You've got to grab them when they come along.
Well, the defenders are nearly always all over them. Great tip there by Manu.
Get a chance to go again here. Reload the Vixens. McMahon, it's a blistering pass in underneath the post to Thwaites, and she gives it back to McMahon. 3 from 3 from Sherelle.
See here the great offensive rebound there by Griffin. Strong hands.
As we mentioned, McMahon 20 from 20 in the first half here on Monday night. We'll see if we can get her over the line to half-time without missing. I'm sure she'll be keen to maintain her flawless stat.
I'm sure she's thinking of a car, actually. A great Holden she could be in contention for if she plays well.
Got one hand on the Holden crew, so too does her teammate Julie Corletto. Their fate, Eloise, is in your hands. We won't harp on it.
Don't put the pressure on me.
Still out to a 2-goal lead, so it's not a bad start here from the visitors, the Pulse.
Any high balls like that, Julie Corletto, great aerial ability there.
Eats that one up. She read it beautifully. Now Wall again with the good feed to the co-captain.
What Wall is doing is she's just feeding into the guts of the shooters, so not putting it out there where the defenders can get a deflection or a hand on the ball. She's really, as we see Julie Corletto there, sensational intercept. It was a pretty average pass into the pocket.
And Wall's got a tough afternoon at the office, hasn't she? Because she's going head-to-head with the Pulse captain in Kusha Lichwa. And she's one tough cookie.
And she's, very physical, so Wall will have her, work cut out today.
She'd be on a high, given that she had her first start last week, played the entire game, would be absolutely thrilled with that. And possibly in her own mind would think, well, hang on, with the finals just around the corner, I could be in line for a start here.
Well, she's in with a chance, and any time a player gets a start, you just got to make the most, because you never know what's around the corner.
certainly has limited opportunities in this Melbourne Vixens side as Griffin puts another one down. Oh, Litchmark there against Wall. You said she's a tough cookie and she'll certainly work her over this afternoon.
Oh, great hands by Thwaites, a beautiful feed.
Volleyball style, no surprise that volleyball's their background.
It is, she's a great volleyball player. A lot of beach volleyball over the summer, Caitlin Thwaites. Keeps her very fit.
Amaru Tibble, well done by Boise.
Beautiful action by Amaru Tibble. Really nice finish off and flick of the wrist.
Just a little feed to Thwaites, too far out. Now she'll back herself from here. Just rims out. Byfield gobbled up that rebound. Manu did well there to control the ball, but in the end gave it up.
Very lucky there by the Vixens. What they need to do is when they get an intercept, and often you see this with teams, get so excited that they've got it, they race down the court and throw the ball away. You've got to control it until it gets to the shooter's hands.
Now the Vixens out to a 4-goal lead.
Beautiful tap on there by Thwaites and lovely pass. Beautiful feed there. Tricked the defenders. Amaru Tibble's really setting up well there with that front position, just not a good feed into her.
Oh, well played by Byfield. She picked off that pass and regains possession here for the Pulse. They go straight down the middle of the court and give it into Griffin. That was good team play. Let's go courtside. Dan Ryan. Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Cal. Just a quick thing from the side here. Sherelle McMahon just had a quick word to Natasha Chocolate moments ago, just to tell her to mix it up a little bit. She's probably playing at a frantic pace at the moment, so that's the balance there for the Vixens, to make sure that they're not obviously playing too fast and throwing the ball away. But that's the challenge. She's pretty quick getting it back to the centre circle, but just a moment of mixing it up there.
We saw a rare fumble from McMahon there just a few moments ago, but it still results in a Vixen goal. And they maintain that 4-goal lead. Pulse are doing really well, sticking with them early, Eloise.
Well, I think Paula Griffith at the moment, I would say, is playing better than Chatfield. So Chatfield eyes are down a little bit, and she's not really covering the body too well on Griffin.
And it's an unfamiliar position that she's playing in a sense, given that she's spent most of the season in goalkeeper. How much would that not necessarily trouble her, but obviously a very different position?
Well, it is, and look, in terms of trouble, it's not going to trouble her, but it's a different fitness that you need to play out. You've got to continue, the heart rate's up a lot higher, you don't get the recovery time, so it is a very different, and Paula Griffin, she's used to playing out there, so you'd say match fitness-wise, she's going to be on top.
Back to 3 goals now.
Really strong pull in there. That was great work there by Thwaites to rip the ball out of Byfield's area.
Sarah Wall, 4-goal assists this quarter, so that is a pretty telling statistic. She's doing her job, doing exactly what she's been asked.
What she's doing too is really driving hard onto that circle, so when you're a feeder, you want to get right on the top. You don't want to be feeding from outside the circle edge. You want to be right on top of it.
It's a great goal from Caitlin Thwaites, given the spring in the legs of Byfield. She is an athlete, no doubt about that. The Jamaican import. Oh, on that occasion, though, the turnover.
Manu, very strong player. She's doing well so far on McMahon.
Byfield and Manu making up the defensive circle for the Pulse. Byfield missed 5 games earlier this season with concussion. As Griffin a little offline on that shot. And Pauletto pounces. They're away now, the Vixens, steaming down the centre of the court.
Miller Lee's quite a tactical there, contact to stop that run on and feed.
Chocolate involved in the play there. She was one of the better players on Monday night here. Always puts her body on the line. There's a real appetite for the contest today. Now Manu. Over to Milner-Olsen. Working it around very patiently.
Quick hands by Griffin then to the circle edge.
Contact.
Oh, great shot. Mari Tibble, so far, she's on 75%, 3 from 4.
Unflappable under the post, Amaru Tibble, 20-year-old. Chatfield not happy.
She just wanted to make sure that she pulled that ball in. Oh.
As Byfield just slams into the advertising hoardings there. It's her ball. She'll play on.
Oh, great intercept by Julie Corletto. She's taken 3 this quarter so far.
Into McMahon to finish. A terrific piece of play for the Vixens. No doubt about it. And now the margin in the blink of an eye is out to 6. Here's Byfield. We see it just lose her balance. Lucky she didn't injure herself there.
Gosh, I would have fallen on my backside had that been me. She's balanced beautifully on the edge of the court. As we see there, Julie Corletto, one hand, but really grabbed that ball in with 2 in the end. Great work.
So quick, Julie Corletto. Unbelievable pace, particularly at ground level. Needs to be seen to be believed at times. As they knock down another 6-goal margin.
That's McMahon, 7 from 7 at 100%.
Oh, Wasey, well read. And kept it in play. Kept it in play while she was running out of the court. Chatfield to Wall, McMahon. I like the look of this build-up into Thwaites. And now they're just starting to find their feet, the Vixens. Margin 7.
Great work through the middle channel. That's what they need to do. Oh, great little balk there. McMahon looking as though she was going to pass it out, but found Thwaites under the post.
This is dangerous time, the last 2 minutes of this opening quarter for the Central Pulse. They've done so well to stick with the Vixens so far. In the last few minutes, the Vixens have put their foot down and they've scored the last 3 goals.
Contact, goalkeeper, pass the shot where you are.
Amory Tibble from underneath the post.
You can see the balk there by McMahon into Thwaites. Was a great little offload there.
Oh, well read from Byfield again. Gee, they look like such a better setup, such a better team with Byfield down back. She did that beautifully. Over the top, this will go to Griffin, and Chatfield didn't have a chance there. Oh, Chatfield with a big block. Bianca Chatfield. She would have enjoyed that.
Advantage instruction, wing.
They'll be looking to capitalise. Last few minutes of the opening quarter. Fumble from Thwaites. Wall's there. Offers some support. And now Thwaites from long range.
Great shot in the last 2 minutes to nail that one. As you can see there, all started from Bianca Chatfield's deflection. Still a tight one-on-one defence by the Vixens.
Goal defence.
Vixens have scored 8 out of the last 11 in this quarter.
Yes.
Margin now 8 goals.
Nice body work there by Amaru Tibble.
Wasey's done quite well in this opening quarter.
She has. She's really tried to get on her toes and obviously being able to get those deflections and read the ball as they come into the pocket. So she has done very well.
And they get another one on the board before quarter time.
Byfield just goes for a bit too many contacts from coming up the back of a player. I would love to see her start in front, make them force the ball over the top of her because her aerial ability is fantastic. She's got a great vertical leap. I don't think she does that well enough.
Caitlin Thwaites, the go-to girl in this opening quarter. 14 of 17 she's made. McMahon, half the number of attempts, just 7.
Good rebound there by Bianca Chatfield. Thrown away.
Chocolate with quick hands. Chatfield didn't see that coming.
Keep it beside now.
It's probably passed behind her as she's running forward. The ball came back, but Griffith's got it and nails that one.
So it'll be 7-goal lead to the Melbourne Vixens over the Central Pulse. How did you see the opening quarter?
Look, the Vixens, I think they came out to play, and Julie Corletto at wing defence, a sensational start. Push the Lichwards really giving Sarah Wall a run for her money, but Sarah at the moment I think has got the better run with the ball and getting a lot of nice drives. I think it's a great contest so far and Pulse not out of it yet.
Vixens have shot 16 of the last 26 and they lead by 7 at quarter time. The Melbourne Vixens playing for percentage and to secure top spot on the ladder heading into the final series next week. They lead the Central Pulse by 7 at quarter time. Eloise, we see Julie Hornwig there talking to her girls. The new look lineup, they gelled in the final stages of that opening quarter. What do you make of the match stats?
Look, I think the Pulse would be happy with their start, but they did fade towards the end. That's probably due to fitness. Look, at the moment, the shooting percentages are very high for the Vixens, so when the goalers get it, they're hitting the shot. The other one to note is the turnovers, 2 more to the Pulse, and their lower shooting percentage is really at the moment where the game lies. Everything else is fairly close in terms of stats.
Little error riddled to get us underway in that first term. We saw 7 intercepts, which is quite rare, and certainly providing some of the highlights in that first quarter. Caitlin Thwaites is the go-to girl, no doubt about it. I'm not sure whether that's a tactic, but she had twice as many shots as McMahon in that first term. Yeah,
it was 14 out of 17 at 82%. So shooting well, you can see when she gets it in that mid-range close to the post, she nails them. So they need to deliver the ball there to her, and the feeders are doing just that so far.
Natasha Chocolate to get us underway in the second quarter. It's the Vixens by 7. Dan Ryan, there's been a few changes.
Certainly has, Cal. Could be possibly looking at the Vixen starting lineup for next week. Chelsea Nash has come on to wing attack, so Sarah Wall off after her first quarter. Renee Hallinan comes on to the wing defence position. Bianca Chatfield back to goalkeeper, and Julie Corletto moves from wing defence to goal defence. So Wall and Abuazi off. So possibly Julie Hornwig is looking at this lineup to run it out for the next 3 quarters. 22 goals, pretty impressive for the first. And obviously they're talking to a little bit about sharing the workload between McMahon and Thwaites a little bit better. So we might see McMahon just hang back in the circle a little bit more often and get Thwaites out of the circle doing some more court work.
Big rebound from Chatfield straight down the centre of the court. This is where they use it best. Speed of ball movement. Looking to feed it inside. What was Julie Hornwig's thoughts then? Has it been a change of tactics since quarter time? Perhaps not the margin that they were hoping for. She certainly mixed it up with the starting 7.
Look, I think she's given those other girls a go, and maybe this was all planned, because it's really interesting that a coach, you know, the fact that the Vixens were leading by so much to make, you know, the changes that she has. So maybe this was all tactical. Maybe this was pre-planned. That's what I'm going with.
Well, she had 2 choices coming in, didn't she? Stick with the starting lineup that we know, and let's make sure they gel heading into the finals. Or give some of the girls that have been really patient spent a lot of time on the sidelines throughout a long season some court time.
Well, maybe that's what she's done. She's given them a taste. She's seen a quarter of netball. She'll be able to look at and review the tapes and give them feedback, obviously. And then running her lineup for, you know, the next 3 quarters, probably going to do a good job for them.
I like your school of thought. You make a good coach one day, Eloise.
Hopefully. Do you like my coaching?
How are the juniors going?
Oh, my Geelong Cougars girls under 19s. I think we're sitting 5th. So we need to win and hope other people lose. Destiny's not in our hands.
Just like the Firebirds.
Yes, it's in other people's hands.
The Queensland Firebirds know how you feel. Of course, the Firebirds play the Fever Monday night. And if the Firebirds win that, well, they could perhaps snatch 4th place and a spot in the finals ahead of the Southern Steel. So it's going to be a terrific final round. Let's go back to Dan Ryan, courtside.
Yeah, just on that coaching front there, Callie, I just let you know that my team, the Southern Saints, actually beat Eloise's team on Wednesday night. So just so you know.
Only by 2. They have been the leaders all season, can I say? So my girls put up a good effort.
Well, the big question is, were you there courtside, Eloise, or were you in charge?
I was in charge.
Oh, you were? Okay,
Dam's on the other bench, so I was throwing bits of paper at him. No, I'm joking.
15 love Dan. I like it. Margin now, 10 goals. And McMahon is still sticking to that stat. Yet to miss. That's 10 out of 10. 20 out of 20 in the first half on Monday night. Should be looking to better that. Hallinan now getting involved after sitting on the pine in that first quarter. They go backwards here. They'll reset up. Now Nash to Chocolate into Thwaites.
Strong one-on-one defence from the Pulse. You don't often see many New Zealand teams play that style of defence, but they are, and it's working well. You know, putting a bit of pressure, making the Vixens have to work their way into goal.
Of course, we saw the Central Pulse make the big trip to Adelaide just a couple of weeks ago, and again, the theory going into that game was that the Thunderbirds were in for a big win. From the 4 quarters they played, the Pulse actually won 2 against the Thunderbirds. So,
You get the feeling that as they've gone throughout the season, they're really young, inexperienced, and youthful side, that they're really improved throughout the season. To take 2 quarters off the Thunderbirds, and the Thunderbirds ended up winning that game by 30 goals, but it wasn't until the final quarter.
Look, I think disappointing for the Thunderbirds there. They should have, pushed it through, being the third place side. Oh, how good is she? 66-centimetre vertical leap, and she used every bit of that to tap that ball.
Just waits, and she does her captain a favour. She doesn't miss. McMahon, perhaps in career best form. You've played a lot of netball with her.
Well, compared to last year, she's outstanding. Last year, she struggled with that knee injury, and she's really back at full flight. And look, I think it really helped her. She went overseas with her husband, Brett Mansfield, in the off-season, had about 6 weeks away. I think that refreshed her mind and body, and she's come to play this year, and it's brilliant to watch and great for Australian netball.
It is terrific for Australian netball. The Diamonds squad for season 2008 to be announced later this month, July 28th.
Yep, the Tuesday after the grand final. I think Norma Plummer's got a job on her hand picking this one. I think there's some great performances, and some of the girls that have previously been in, as we see an injury time there, I think some of the girls, may not get in that have been in there previously. So hopefully there'll be a few changes.
Well, we see it was Manu that called for the timeout. So we'll keep an eye just to see if it is an injury or not. In fact, it was Manu that called it for her teammate in Milner Olsen. So just getting the left knee, which you can see is heavily strapped.
I think the tape's coming off, so they're putting the sticky...
Bit of magic spray just to fix it up there as well.
Spray.
Good opportunity to go back courtside with Dan.
Olsen's just getting a bit more strapping tape now put to her knee. I'm sure she's got enough on there already, but interesting just to keep an eye on Chelsea Nash, because she's up against Kushla Lichwak, which is a pretty good matchup for her. I reckon Lichwak's a little bit similar to the way she plays like Jolene Henry from the Magic. Both very rough, strong kind of wing defences, wear the body. The key for Chelsea Nash is she needs to be prepared in that attack and to put her body on the line, make those hard cuts, own her spaces. And she struggled when she played against the Magic last time against that New Zealand style of physicality. So if she can really have a good game today, she'll go into the game next week against the Magic with a lot of confidence. So just see how she goes against Lichwak for the rest of the game today.
Thanks for that, Dan. Otherwise, we're just talking about the Diamonds and the fact that the squad is announced. They actually announced yesterday 3 extra test matches that they'll play at the end of this season. So the Diamonds to play a test match against England in Bath on October 13, and then 2 tests against Jamaica in Kingston. So probably the build-up they need, and I guess that the practice that they need heading into the Commonwealth Games just over a year away.
Look, I think it's great preparation, because it is hard to pin down Jamaica and get them to commit to a few games. And so the Diamonds will be playing the Sunshine Girls over there in Kingston. What a trip for the girls too. We always love travelling over to the Caribbean. It's a great place to visit.
I'm sure you behaved yourself the entire time as well.
Oh, of course.
How tough, Norma Plummer? Has she got a job selecting this Australian squad? I mean, we've seen that the ANZ Netball Championships really stepped up a level again this year.
Look, I think, number one, the ANZ Championships has just put these players at a different level. Number two, I think Norma Plummer's done a terrific job in getting the youth developed. So she will pick a few young ones in order. They might not make the team, but they'll be there looking at for the next few years, making sure there's some development. We don't know how long McMahon's going to play for, maybe a couple more, but you need to be able to replace her when she goes. So she'll be looking to develop that with youth, I'd say.
Starting to get angry, McMahon. She plays her best netball when she's angry.
Not too angry, though. She can't get out of control angry.
Want to cop one high there from Bessie Manu. As the Pulse head back down.
This quarter, Julie Coletto has done very well on Paula Griffin. She's really making her work, and you can see that Paula's actually not getting that change of pace going. So she's floating back into the circle, what I call lazy netball, actually. You've got to be on the move. You've got to be not calling for it over like that pass just came in. You've got to be getting the speed, change of directions, and being creative.
14 attempts for Paula Griffin so far in this match. Caitlin Thwaites has had the most, as we see a replay of McMahon popping one high. Caitlin Thwaites has had 21 attempts. She's nailed 18 of them. So certainly the dominant shooter so far on the court, Caitlin Thwaites. Realises that and went to give it off, and then thought, no, I'll keep my perfect record intact and make it 13 from 13.
Unlucky there by Coletto, because I thought she just had that deflection and it could have been play on, but Kate Wright, the umpire, saw it differently.
Well, they've doubled their lead the Melbourne Vixens. It was 7 at quarter time. The margin now out to 14 goals. We mentioned pre-match that they need a 28-plus goal win to secure top spot if they are to beat the Magic on percentage. Given that the Magic do play tomorrow against the Adelaide Thunderbirds. If the Thunderbirds beat the Magic, then Vixens will finish top and they will host a final and also have a double chance. So it will mean there will be a final back here on this court next weekend.
Unfortunate there for the Pulse. And again, they get a deflection but can't stop the run on as we see a stepping called by McMahon, who isn't impressed again.
Chocolate coming through a little late. She read it but couldn't quite get the feet to move.
Not sure why the Pulse are persisting in trying to put those long bongs in. They need to work it to the circle edge and then deliver it to their shooters.
Well, the game's really opened up. The Vixens have really broken it wide open in the last few moments. Thwaite sinks another one.
And what's hard when you're playing this type of netball is you've got the leader, but you've got to keep pushing on. You can't stop. You can't try and be flashy. You've got to do the hard things. So even if it seems like you should take the easy option, sometimes you've got to put the dodge in or got to be working towards, you know, looking towards finals. And I know that the girls out there won't be thinking that right now, but they need to do the hard work. They can't slacken off at all.
And the Pulse might be only a half a game as they throw it out of court and lose possession yet again. Cough it up. Only half a game away from finishing their season. But Bessie Manu under the post is really making sure McMahon works hard for every ball.
Well, what they're doing now is they're doing a split circle defence. So she's just waiting for her to get in there and then actually muscling and bodying up there. So there's a lot of body contact going on between Manu and McMahon.
So Manu, in effect, happy to let her play outside the circle.
Yeah, she's letting her come out. So either way, it depends where they're standing. It could be Thwaites there, but what they'll do, as soon as one comes in, they'll both fight and split open there, like you see Byfield there. Not really taking on the player like she should, getting caught behind.
It's out to 18 goals now. So they're looking at another big win, the Melbourne Vixens. They won by 26 on Monday night against another New Zealand team. That was the Tactics.
I just think the difference between, you know, the Pulse and the Vixens is really comes down to fitness. If you have a look at them, the Pulse at the moment are struggling. You can see them puffing. You can see the Vixens, they are ripped and they have had the hardest pre-season ever, and it's really paid dividends. And I think that's a lot of the New Zealand teams, as we see Nash nearly taking a shot.
It's a three-pointer from downtown.
And that's because she delivered it from the chest. She used two hands to pass that pass instead of releasing with one.
Post got in the way of what would have been a good pass.
Unfortunately, it's always there.
It hasn't moved.
Great defence by the Vixens. Really strong one-on-one, tight. Pulse really finding it hard to deliver.
They're suffocating them down there, aren't they, under that post?
They need Griffin on the move a bit more. She's really just standing back there under that post, not being a target. As we see Nash there taking a shot. Unfortunately, she's not a shooter.
If Sherelle had shot that,
yeah,
nothing but
that.
net. 15 from 15. She's on track. Loose ball. Oh, well played by the Vixens. Chocolate picking that one up.
Great little deflection there by Byfield. She comes through at the end. So as a player for the Vixens, you can't stop on your drive. You have to fully come to it. Great little offload there.
See a replay, deflection from Chocolate. She was all over it. There's not a game that doesn't go by where Natasha Chocolate doesn't hit the deck.
And that was a great little deflection because she leads the whole league in pickups with 35. Second is Renee Hallinan, so two players in pickups they've got, which is a great stat, what I call a 1%er. If you're all over those loose balls, really gives your team a good chance of winning.
They want to win by at least 28 to finish top, and they've just hit the 20s. So Vixens blown out to a 20-goal lead. Corletto stumble under the post. She's fine. So the last thing that the Vixens could afford is an injury this afternoon.
You can see McMahon there gritting her teeth while she takes that ball. She's just one tough competitor.
really relishes the tough competition, and she's actually missed one. So 15 from 16. We saw her hit 20 from 20 in the opening half on Monday night. Couldn't repeat her stunning record. Now Thwaites, too easy for the Vixens.
I'd like to see Byfield just jump on that shot every time. She's got such a good elevation. She's not using it enough in this match so far.
Another turnover. Cullinan's done really well since coming on. So too has Nash.
She feeds well to Thwaites, does Nash. I think playing in the old Kestrels club, you can see they've got a really nice combination, and I think it's worked well for them this year.
Oh, Byfield, well done.
Contact, wing attack, goal kick.
Althea Byfield, the 26-year-old Jamaican import for the Pulse, born in Kingston, Jamaica. No doubt she'll be playing when the Australian side tours there in October later this year.
Oh, unlucky there. Must have just creeped in on that jump.
Oh, well, that's a controversial call. It went against Amaru Tibble.
Well, Bianca was shaking her head as if to say, yep, that was happening. So, umpired well then. If you're relating to Bianca's little facial expressions.
21-goal lead for the Melbourne Vixens. We haven't even hit half-time yet.
That's 26 goals from Caitlin Thwaites, 26 from 29. She's having a day out so far, 90%. Great accuracy for her.
She's really found her range, McMahon, coming through late.
She's prostrated again.
Like a little basketball manoeuvre then. I thought she was going to dribble it as she took off.
Great little tip and chase pick-up there by Hallinan.
Well, they are strangling the Central Pulse now. They are just all over them, intimidating tactics.
Advantage contact was called by the umpire, really to no advantage, but the Pulse get the ball.
So that was against Nash on Lichwak.
I don't know what that manoeuvre was with her arms out there.
Oh, nearly an elbow.
I think Hallinan's just copped one.
I think it just shaved her face. It was a high elbow. She was very lucky there that it didn't have a bit more force behind it.
Griffin's shooting at 81% for the Pulse, 13 from 16. She just needs more balls. They've got to get the ball into those shooters rather than turning it over prior to getting in there.
Home side dominating the second quarter, 20 of the last 26. Make that 21 of the last 27 attempts. And Thwaites now up to 27 goals. Here's a replay of that high elbow. Very lucky there for Hallinan. Huge leap from Chocolate.
Trying desperately to deflect that as we see the time go.
And the umpire's whistle to mark half-time. And it is a 21-goal lead to the Melbourne Vixens. They're led by 7 at quarter time, and they've absolutely blown them away in the second quarter, the margin out to 21.
Look, I really think it's disappointing for the Pulse to have such a deficit at half-time. They've got to come out firing. Maybe some changes required for them, but the Vixens, Corletto on fire, Chocolate on fire, McMahon on fire, all those superstars are on fire. It's going to be great to see them go into the second half.
The Melbourne Vixens playing for a home final here next week. They need a big percentage boosting win, and they are well on their way. Leading the Central Pulse by 21 at half-time. It is the Vixens, 42, playing the Pulse, 21. And they, in fact, won that quarter, Eloise, 21-7.
Look, they are absolutely annihilating the Pulse. Not a good performance so far from the Pulse. They need to put a bit of pride out for this second half. Shooting under 80%, not good enough at this level compared to the Vixen at 91. They cannot seem to miss. The other thing is the turnovers. Look at that, 7 more turnovers for the Pulse, which means they're really getting 14 goals by the time they get the centre pass after that. So disappointing performance by them for this first half.
And the turnovers for the Central Pulse there, that last statistic, 20 turnovers, and it's only half-time.
Yeah, look, it could end up being over 40, which is not good at this level of competition.
Well, let's have a look at some of the highlights from that first half. No doubt about it, the home crowd is really relishing a big win from the Melbourne Vixens. And Sarah Walsh, she was the surprise starter in the wing attack position, did quite well in the first quarter, was benched in the second.
Yeah, look, I think what she did well was drive right onto that circle edge and deliver well into the shooters. And I wouldn't think she'd been taken off for non-performance or bad performance. I think it's more about shuffling the lineup and having a look at everyone for the finals coming up. The other player that's played well is obviously Julie Corletto and McMahon. Both have been on fire. They are obviously in the running for the Holden Cruise Player of the Year award. So great to see them putting out some good performances. And McMahon, so determined. She is gritting her teeth every time a player knocks into her or trying to get that extra intercept. She's done so well in this first half, and I hope that continues. Coming
off her best game, arguably, for the season so far, and doing not too badly in this first half. Didn't miss last week in the first half. I think she missed just one, has she, so far? So I'm not quite sure whether those girls were aware that they are in the running for a car, but they're playing like they are, no doubt about it. One quick one, the Central Pulse, they've got half a game of netball left for season 2009. Mentally, how do they approach this second half?
Look, I think they've got to come out and think, well, they need to earn their spot for next year as well, these girls. Nothing is guaranteed. They're on one-year contracts. I'd be playing for my life in that team, so hopefully they put out a better performance in this second half.
Vixens playing for top spot. They're doing what they need to do, and they need to win by a big margin. They lead by 21. It's half-time here at Hisense Arena in Melbourne. Well, a 21-7 second quarter has set up a 21-goal lead at halftime for the Melbourne Vixens over the Pulse, as we see some of the Net Set Go kids enjoying their time out in the middle. Gee, they've got them doing everything out there at the moment, Eloise. They look like they were doing push-ups at halftime.
I don't know if I did push-ups in under 10s.
Just about ready to start this second half, and it's chocolate to get us underway. It is a 21-goal lead, and there's been quite a few changes made at that halftime break. With all the news, Dan Ryan.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, quite a few changes for the Vixens. We'll start with their front line. Ashley Howard's come on to goal shooter. Just slots her first goal. To goal attack. Good introduction for her. Sharon McMahon, the skipper, slips back into goal shooter. So just making sure that combination is tried and true ahead of the final series. Amara Abwazi back on to goalkeeper. So Bianca Chatfield gets a rest there, as does Caitlin Thwaites. And for the Central Pulse, Kutla Lichwak moves into the goal defence position. Jamelia Gupwell into goal attack. And Paula Griffin back into goal shooter. It was interesting listening to the Pulse camp during the half-time. Their instructions towards their shooters was to use the backspace, which is kind of bizarre because you've got players like Chatfield, Corletto and Howden who are extremely good in the air. So we'll see how that works in the second half. But a few changes, and Julie Hornwig making sure she's got all the boxes ticked ahead of the semi-finals next week.
Use the backspace, Dan. I'm not sure against people that can jump and who are very physical that is the way to go.
Definitely not.
Contact, goal defence.
So Gupwell coming on for her first run. You see her under the post there in the goal attack position. Based in Wellington, studying a BA in English at uni. So she'll be keen to show us what she's got, having spent that first half on the bench. And the two changes, Eloise, for the Vixens. Ash Howard into goal attack, so Thwaites takes the seat. And Abwazi back on. Chatfield on the bench, rested. What do you make of them?
Oh, well, Chatfield, you never know what's going on with that knee of hers. She did rest probably about 3 weeks ago, had a week off. So, you know, maybe they're looking to make sure that there's no strain put on that knee. And Ash Howard, I think she's a fabulous player, actually. Watched her a lot in juniors, and I think she's very creative. And it's just a different way of playing for the Vixens, having two moving shooters. So you never know what might happen in finals. So they're obviously giving Howard and McMahon a chance to sort of gel and play together as a different option in case it's not working with Thwaites and McMahon.
Well, Howard played the entire game going back a couple of weeks ago when they made the trip to New Zealand, and McMahon was rested and did really well for a youngster. Obviously the young gun shooter. And she was co-captain of the Australian 21 and under team earlier this year. So certainly big raps on her.
They've got World Youth Cup coming up later this year, so good performance by her.
Rare fumble from Corletto. She made sure, though, that she didn't hand over possession. Maintained that possession. And here they go again, looking inside to Howard.
Bit of a fight for the ball at ground level. Howard emerges and doesn't miss. Thought about it.
It's good as a shooter to be able to get knocked over and have to stand up and actually compose yourself and shoot that ball, as we see McMahon cleaning the floorboards. A little bit of a shove there by Byfield.
She's up quickly, which is the good news. And feeds it straight to Howard. And a replay of this incident by Byfield. Well, both players putting their bodies on the line. Both ferocious, tough, athletic players, and that's what we love to see.
Those high balls from the Pulse, they're putting up too many loopy passes, what we call a lollipop pass in the juniors, and getting easily intercepted or deflected by the Vixen defensive unit.
Byfield with the good ball, straight down the middle. And now the captain, over to Lees. Working it around the circle.
The Vixens put a lot of pressure there on that transverse line going into their attack for the Pulse. So, you know, you have to nail even those passes back to their goal defence, wing defence. You can see Griffin there doing what her coaches have told her at halftime to hold and ask for that high ball. So that was delivered nicely to her there.
Here go the Vixens again. Into McMahon. She's just too quick, isn't she? She uses every bit of space.
You should have seen Chocolate's face there, and you can see McMahon having a little smile, but Chocolate gave her a little smile because she really wanted that ball delivered quickly, but she just waited a bit till the defender overran her. So well done by Natasha Chocolate to just hold that ball.
Her eyes lit up when she saw her all alone underneath. So the margin now is 26.
They're just getting frustrated, the Pulse attacking. They can't seem to get it in there quickly and definitely. So it's a hard slog for them.
And then another goal for Sherelle McMahon. I wonder whether Julie Hornweg will make even more changes and really make the point of getting the entire playing list out on the court and getting some court time. We saw Kathleen Knott come on in the last quarter on Monday night. It was her first bit of court time that she's seen all year. She shot 8 from 12 at 67%, so not bad given it was her first ever taste of the ANZ Championship, the highest netball league going around.
Look, it's good to see some young Victorian netballers get out there and get their chance, an opportunity. There was a big crowd in, so always a bit nerve-wracking to start, but I think she'll be pleased with herself for getting out there and having a good run at it. Great rebound by Corletto. Strong hands there. There's just no pressure there through that middle channel over that transverse line. It's just coming down too freely and easily for the Vixens. So the Pulse really need to put on a bit of more of a press or either stick one-on-one, really tight defence there to stop that flow.
Well, the Central Pulse have got less than half a game of netball left in their season, and Dan Ryan is courtside with their coach at the moment, Yvette McCausland-Jury. Dan.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, Yvette, obviously the Vixens are out to really put a big percentage-boosting win on the board today. How have you seen the game so far?
Yeah, certainly I think we've been really challenged in terms of our ability to drive through on attack. They've got a super mobile group, and throughout the court they've got strength. And one of the things you can see, I guess, one of the clear differences is their confidence to let the ball go to each other, and that's certainly challenging us at times.
Now, we've got to talk about last week, that game against the Swifts. Obviously, the first win for the Pulse in 2 years of the competition. It must be a night that you'll remember for a very long time. Yeah,
it was an awesome game, I think, for a number of them, certainly being our last home game, and an opportunity. They started to join us on the bottom of the ladder, so we thought it might have had a bit of a chance. So it was a really neat opportunity, a good moment, and hopefully we can grow in the next year.
Now, did the girls have a big night on the Sunday one, or straight back, heads down, focusing on this game?
Yeah, no, there wasn't a huge amount. It was reasonably late, so a number of them watched the replay a little bit later on in the day, but they caught up and then they're back to it again. So, yeah, pretty quiet one.
And one final question for you. Who do you think is going to win the title this year?
Well, I think the Vixens and Magic are certainly pretty evenly matched, and of course, being in New Zealand, I've got to say the Magic.
You're dreaming, Yvette, you're dreaming. Thank you very much for your time and good luck for next year.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for that, Dan. Get the feeling the girls might be having a taste of Melbourne's bars tonight, though, Eloise.
Well, it is their last game of the season, so they deserve to go out there and have a bit of fun.
Let their hair down. And, well, you have to say they've improved season 2009 compared to last year. Didn't get a win last year. And they have broken the drought only a few days ago.
Look, I think they're just well drilled and you know, they are very young and there are some players with a lot of talent. So it'd be great to see over the next couple of years them develop, get a bit older, get used to the physicality that they're going to have to play week in, week out and come out and win a few more. And I think they're very capable of that. It's just probably, as I said, a really strong pre-season. They need to be a lot fitter and learn to take those knocks and bumps.
It's been quite a good start to the third quarter for the Pulse. They've scored the last two, make that the last three. So a little bit of a mini surge, and this is what we saw them do in Adelaide a few weeks ago. They actually led the Thunderbirds at quarter time, got blown away in the second quarter, and then came back out and won the third quarter. And it's probably not out of the realms of possibility that they could beat the Vixens in this third quarter. And if they can walk away this afternoon knowing that they've won 2 out of the last 4 quarters against one of the best teams going around, it'd be a good way to finish their season.
Well, that'll be their aim, is obviously to finish the game off. They've made some changes and look, good opportunity for these girls to, you know, put a win in for that particular quarter on the board. So that's what they'd be aiming to do, certainly not give up. You don't want to see a team do that and just be absolutely annihilated. You want to make sure you keep pushing right to the end and challenging the Vixens.
Howard with another one, making the most of her opportunities. Coming on at half-time.
Nice settling shot there from Howard. Making sure that she gets every opportunity and makes it count, or she gets her chance out there for the Vixens.
It's now out to 28 goals. The Vixens need to win by at least 28 to remain in the hunt to finish on top. That is if the Magic do beat the Thunderbirds in Adelaide tomorrow.
Great tip there, deflection from Hallinan, and backed up beautifully by Corletto.
What's your prediction, Eloise, heading into tomorrow? I mean, what a climax to the end of the season. It's going to be fantastic. The Magic broke the hoodoo only last week because the New Zealand team for nearly 2 years hadn't won in Australia, and they did that against the Fever, and
had the longest trip ever as well, going to Perth and actually doing it. That would have been very challenging in itself to get up.
Back up the next week and go to Adelaide. And really, the makeup of the Final Four will be determined on who wins tomorrow.
It will be. And look, I think it's going to be a great match, and I can't actually wait to watch it myself. Netball tragic, as you'd call me. Watching every game in this last round, because they all count. And look, I think the Magic are going to get up. That's in my heart and mind. I think they're the better team. They've got some unbelievable players. Casey Williams on fire. You know, pretty much is so hard to play on, and I just think they are the better team. Irene Van Dyke, very hard to stop. She's going to shoot 40-odd goals. But it's not beyond the Thunderbirds in saying that. I think they'll put up a good fight, but and I hope I'm proven wrong, because I'd love to see the Vixens finish top.
Of course, the only thing that has been guaranteed in that top 4 is that the Thunderbirds will definitely finish third. So therefore the following week they will host a final in Adelaide.
They will, and then we've got the Steel and Firebirds. So Firebirds, they've got to win well, and in the hope that they can get in there. So as we've spoken about before, it's all up to them to see whether they play finals, and I'm sure Vicky Wilson will be training them very hard this week and demanding only the best when they step out there, and wanting to get a win there to get another Australian team in the 4.
Whole ball against Gutwell. Aboise's done really well in this quarter. Played the first, rested the second, came back on in the third, and a couple of intercepts.
And that's hard to do as well, to come on and off, because you cool down, get a bit sore if you've got a few knocks, and then you have to come out and deliver again. So she's done well to actually cool down and then come back on, and I'm sure she would be on the exercise bike, staying warm over there on the bench for the Vixens, but good job by her to get out there and still play quality netball. There's just no pressure there coming through that mid-court, and beautiful tip there on the rebound, back to Howard.
Been an avalanche of goals this afternoon for the Melbourne Vixens. 58 they've put on the scoreboard. Their highest score so far this season. They have recorded the highest score in season 2009, and that was 74. So on track.
It's amazing defensive pressure there by the Vixens. Really tight one-on-one. Just forced that turnover. There was nowhere for the Pulse to pass it, as we see McMahon coming off the hand very sweetly there.
Different feeling about this Melbourne Vixen side compared to 12 months ago when they were heading into the final series. McMahon was really struggling with the knee injury, and it was the Thunderbirds that eventually put them out of the final series. They missed a spot in the grand final. Of course, it was the Magic and the New South Wales Swifts in the end, and the Swifts beat the Magic on that occasion in the season decider. But a really different feel about this group is a Boise. Well, she came out like a steam train at that one.
And what she did well, she didn't even touch the ball. She just scared the opposition and the Pulse into not catching it. So well done. And in talking about how different the finals are this year compared to last year, I think, look, for the Vixens, I remember going to training last year and having a little bit of a sticky beak, as we do. And McMahon hardly training the whole year. Now, having your captain, she was the sole captain last year, not training, puts a lot of pressure on her and the girls. And look, they certainly have gelled a lot more, and I think both, you know, coming from two separate teams in Victoria that they used to have in the old competition to forming one, they've finally gelled, and I think it's paying dividends that they're getting along really well off the court, and they're playing beautiful netball on it.
Gupwell having a tough third quarter after sitting on the bench watching the first half. A couple of errors from her. Ooh. Well done by Howard.
Litchmark was saying, me? It was me? Yep, it was you. You've got that contact.
Howard came in late from the side, didn't she? It was
Yep.
Gupwell thought she had the clear path at the ball. We see a replay of it. Well, that is a tough 50-50 call for any umpire. Now they go long, over the top. And it's called against Boise.
Yes, there.
Three-quarter time at Hisense Arena, and it's the Vixens extending their lead to 34 goals. They lead 62-28 heading into the final term.
And the defensive pressure by the Vixens is sensational. Hallinan will not give up on her player. She's sticking to them like glue. Corletto's still getting all those rebounds. She's playing fantastic netball. It's a great quarter by the Vixens.
The Melbourne Vixens are putting on an absolute clinic in their final game of the home and away season, as Julie Hornweg really urging Renee Hallinan on. It was the Vixens by 7 at quarter time, 21 at half time. The margin has blown out to a massive 34 at three-quarter time. And have a look at some of these match statistics, Eloise. They are quite telling.
They are. Look, you can see the shooting percentages. Need I say more? 87 to the Vixens, 78 to the Pulse. Too low there. Contact penalties, 32 to 30, quite even there. But the turnovers, 35. We spoke about at halftime them cracking the 40, and I think they're going to do it, actually.
What's the average you should have for
Well, look, if we used to always aim when I was playing that under 20. You know, one bad error for each player on the court, or, you know, and then give or take a few others. But, to score over 40, which they could for the game, is far too many, and that's the ball game, really.
The last quarter for the Central Pulse for their season. No doubt the message from the coach was just to go out and enjoy it. Looks like Bessie Manu is going to try and do exactly that. And the last quarter for the home and away season for the Vixens, heading into what will be a terrific final series. They'll be ready just to amp it up and put their foot down and win by a really big margin this afternoon.
Advantage contact, wing defense.
Hallinan to Chocolate, over the top to Howard. And the intercept from Byfield.
Unfortunate by her that she just couldn't catch that ball cleanly, and had a bit of a replay there.
It's been quite a few changes made yet again at three-quarter time. Both sides making some big changes. So to tell us all about it, Dan.
Sure will, Kelly. Well, we'll start off with Central Pulse. Hannah Bordelot comes on to the goal defence position, and into goal shooter is Larissa Harrison. The Vixens have made 2 changes themselves. Sarah Wall back onto the wing attack position. Julie Hornwig gave her some specific instructions to play the front space and play it hard. And then also the second change for them is Sherelle McMahon off, and Caitlin Thwaites back onto the goal shooter position. Very focused in the Vixens camp too. Business as usual. They're here to do a job, and they're looking very good for a possible scoreline of over 80 goals. To get over that 80 mark would be very impressive.
Highest score so far this season. The record score was 74. They're on track to beat that. And the Vixens resting their 2 co-captains in Sherelle McMahon and Bianca Chatfield. Just sitting on the bench there. No doubt they'll be enjoying watching this last quarter, hoping that their teammates can really put on a clinic.
Holding, goal defence.
Wall into Howard. The call went against Bordelot.
Retake, moving off goal defence.
Howard shot 92% in that
Yeah,
third
with the goal
quarter, made
defence.
12 of
Goal defence,
13.
step back. Yes.
No signs of nerves. Gives it off to Thwaites. Another one on the board for the Vixens. It's a 33-goal margin.
All shooters for the Vixens have shot very well. Sherelle in the 80s at 82%, Thwaites at 90 and Howard at 92 so far. So great performance by them to have all the shooters in the 80-plus range.
A couple of big-name Melbourne Vixens stars putting their feet up on the bench. One of them is Bianca Chatfield, probably enjoying being rested for this last quarter. And Dan Ryan is courtside with her at the moment. Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Just a lazy afternoon here for Bianca Chatfield, just playing the first half. B, have you seen the game so far?
Oh, look, I think we went out there to be intense every quarter, and we've built on every quarter the lead that we have, and it's been great to give everyone an opportunity.
No doubt there would have been some specific targets set by Julie Hornwig for this game. What were they, without obviously giving away too much, but what were you out here to do today?
Look, we just wanted to, we had a certain amount of goals we wanted to restrict them to, and we wanted to score a certain amount of goals, but I'm going to keep that to myself, Dan.
All right, you do that, B. It's been a very impressive season for the Vixens this year. Next week, obviously, it's the Magic. How important is that home semi-final going to be if you guys get it? You're on track, but how good is it going to be if it's actually at home for you guys?
Look, it'd be fantastic to have our supporters with us and to play in Melbourne, but, you know, what a challenge to be able to go to New Zealand and try and win that first semi to get the grand final, and, you know, we're up to it. So at the moment, it's out of our control. We just worry about this game, and whatever happens, happens.
And a heavy loss last time you played Magic, but you guys definitely have the team to do it. What are some key things that you guys will prepare for next week in leading up to that game?
I think we've been working on some today as well, just making sure that we're in front, we can test everything, and that we have defence all down the court, because when we have the defensive pressure, we can get the turnovers. When we don't, that's when the ball goes straight through to Irene under the post. So we know what we have to do, and we know we can do it as well.
And it's an absolutely huge game tomorrow, Thunderbirds Magic. Who's your tip for that one?
Oh, I really don't know. I have a feeling Thunderbirds might get up, but it's going to be a very tight one.
All right, well, B, you enjoy your time on the bench here, because there won't be much time on the bench for you during finals. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for that, Dan. Eloise, she disagrees with the tip for tomorrow. You'll tip the Magic. Bianca Chatfield's tip the Thunderbirds.
Well, she should know. She plays them. So maybe let's take her word.
And a revelation there from the co-captain. They did pinpoint a figure pre-match heading in. So they are targeting a certain number of goals for this game. Any idea what that figure might have been?
40 plus.
40 plus as a margin.
Yeah, I think as a margin. I reckon they would have been aiming for that, and I think their self-belief is so good that they would have thought that they could do it. And what I am liking about Julie Hornwig is that she's had the faith in all her players to put them out there and obviously go for that win, and by a big margin as well, which not a lot of coaches would do. And I was questioning that. Cal and I, we sat there, didn't we, in makeup? We were questioning whether they were going to change the lineup or run with a 7. And we both thought a 7, so we're crazy.
We've got no idea. That's why you're the special comments person. Well, you say they're targeting 40 plus. It's 32 at the moment. They need 8 more, just over 10 minutes remaining. Can we get them over the line?
I think the home crowd will be trying to do that.
And the crowd probably become a little familiar lately with some close encounters on this court. So feeling in a different position that coming along this afternoon, and probably knowing that the Vixens were in for a relatively easy win.
Well, it is school holidays here today, so in Melbourne. So that's probably why there is a big crowd in, and a lot of people coming out to have a look at the great netball team that is the Vixens.
Well, Hisense Arena holds 10,000, and if they do get a home semi-final next week, you get the feeling the place will be full. Perhaps not a spare seat in the house. What a terrific atmosphere it would be. Let's move it forward again. Thwaites and Howard that are making up a goal shooting circle in this final term.
Unfortunate there for the Pulse defensive unit. I thought that they had that ball there, so umpires just pinged them up at the last minute.
Had a bit too much on it there for Harrison, and Abwazi really been impressive.
She hasn't. It's given, you know, the coaching staff at the Vixens something to think about with these players coming on, and it's not just an easy selection now for them. They've got the ability to put on a few people, and they know that they can put out a good performance when they get out there.
She'll be really excited, looking forward to her first final in the ANZ Championship. Played with the Fever last year, and of course they didn't make the finals. In fact, they struggled last year. And here she is on the verge of playing her first final.
Lovely shot there by Howard. Just a balk there to get the defenders moving. No pressure on that centre pass by the Pulse. They've got to be able to put some more pressure there and force a few errors.
Well, Sarah Wall with the ball in her hand. She was a late replacement this season. Bit of a fairy tale story for her, overlooked for the Vixens squad. And then when one of their star players, Wendy Jacobson, went down in the pre-season with a knee injury, Sarah Wall was called up, making the most of her opportunities. Wendy Jacobson is courtside with Dan Ryan.
Thanks, Cal. Well, Wendy, first we'll ask about the knee. How's the rehab going? What's the process happening now?
Rehab's going really well. I'm back running and jumped off boxes and things this morning, so I'm pretty excited. Going all right in the weights room as well. I may already be a bit stronger than Ash, but she's working hard too, so it's good.
How have you found today's game? Obviously, the scoreline is a massive deficit, but obviously the Vixens out to do a job today. How have you rated their performance so far?
I think it's going to be really challenging for Julie to pick from this who she's going to start. I mean, there's been a consistent 7, but the last couple of weeks there's been a few players out there that have really showed their stuff. I think it's fantastic to see all the players come in and out, and we keep building on this lead. It's great.
Well, you're the wing attack expert. There's 2 good quality wing attacks putting their hand up for the start. Sarah Wall was fantastic last week. Chelsea Nash has been pretty solid throughout the whole year. I want you to put your coach's hat on. Wendy, who do you start next week against Jolene Henry?
Oh, I don't really know. I think that it'll be great to utilise both of them, actually. I think that they both give us very different things. Chelsea's probably a bit steadier player, and Sarah's a bit more, I suppose, aerial and things like that. I guess it's challenging for Julie because Sarah hasn't played against Magic, but I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm a player and not a coach.
Excellent. Well, obviously there's a big game on tomorrow too, Thunderbirds Magic, which obviously will determine who finishes on top. What do you reckon is going to happen in that one?
Well, after this, Magic will know that they have to smash Adelaide to even get there, but I think it's a few key matchups. I think Beveridge on whoever they play, whoever she's on, De Bruin or Williams, and in the mid-court, Nat Bombodo and Laura Langman. I just think it's going to be a fantastic game to watch.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see you again, Wendy. Good luck with the rehab, and we'll catch you next year.
Cheers. Thanks. See you.
Tough season for Wendy Jacobson on the sidelines to watch as her team's really dominated this year. Here's a replay of Natasha Chocolate again, putting her body on the line. Nearly ended up in our laps there, Eloise. She told me last week she was keen to become a commentator. I didn't realise she was that keen.
Oh, Choco, I nearly grabbed the TVs in front of her, so I'm thinking I'm going to smash in her head. She just is like that. She'll go for everything, and that's why she's a leader in those pickups, you know, for the whole competition, because she just gives her all and 120% on any loose ball that's around.
Always bounces to her feet straight away as well. Terrific to see. The Vixens set the scoring record this season with 74. They're just 2 away from that with over 5 minutes remaining. So this has been an absolutely phenomenal performance by the Melbourne Vixens this afternoon. They've set themselves the task to put as many goals in the post as possible, and they have done just that. Who would have thought that they could possibly smash the record of 74 goals for the season?
Goal defence. Pass or shot.
Thwaites makes it 73. Margin is 36. Timeouts called. Keep an eye on the timeout. I think it was to Nash. In fact, it was Ash Howard that's called the timeout. So just having a chat to the trainer there in the hands of the trainer, and a chance for both sides to regroup. Just 10 minutes remaining in this game. And the margin is 37. Vixens 73, leading the Pulse 36. Looks a little bit distressed, actually, Ash Howard. So
they've gone to the bench, actually. McMahon's coming up to warm up, so I'm thinking Howard's not actually right. She's
We didn't see whether she copped a knock or anything, but McMahon was probably enjoying putting her feet up on the sidelines. She's finding that she might need to come back on. Bit of confusion. Yes, she will, in fact, come on for Ash Howard. So that's disappointing for Ash Howard because she was doing quite well, 17 from 18 at 94%. But appears to be a little distressed as she comes to the sidelines, and she'll take her seat. McMahon back on for the Vixens. If anyone's going to get them to smash that record, it'll be McMahon.
Handy to bring her off the bench, isn't it? Oh, just come on, McMahon.
How many years has she got left in her? I'll put you on the spot, Eloise.
Well, I think she'll probably want to play 2 or 3 more. I think she'd like to go to another World Champs and try and lead the team there. But in speaking with her, it's about whether her body will hold up. So I think you might see her even more and more over the next year or two, having a few of those games off, as we saw her the other week, and then come out and have a few blinders after that. But I think it'll just be about her knees and her ankles and how they hold up.
The resting policy, the controversial resting policy that our cricketers adopt. Of course, the Commonwealth Games in India next October. It's going to be a huge time for netball, no doubt about that. Let's go back courtside. Dan.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, the Vixens in that break have just also taken the opportunity to introduce Brooke Thompson to wing defence. So she's been used there through patches throughout the season. So a good opportunity here in the last 5 minutes for her to have a run. Actually, Howard just looked a little bit winded to be in that break. So they get the legend that is McMahon back out there. Nothing serious for the Vixens, and closing in on that 80-goal scoreline.
Well, they've just smashed their record for the season, so they've scored the highest amount of goals any other team has scored this season in 75. Quite remarkable for that. It was back in round 7 against the Fever over in Perth where they scored 74. Of course, they've only lost once this season, and that was to the Magic in round 10 in New Zealand. Just over 3 minutes remaining. The lead's 38 goals.
I think they're pushing for 40 plus. I still believe that.
Well, you're the up-and-coming coach.
It's just such a hard thing to talk about, though. I know they've got to set a target somewhere. What'll it be? But knowing that the Magic are playing the Thunderbirds, they needed a massive percentage, and they had to go out and do it.
They've done just that as Griffin puts another one down, and the Pulse will already be thinking about how they can celebrate the end of their season tonight.
Wing defence hold, goal third.
See Brooke Thompson getting involved. She'll be enjoying her time out there. 26-year-old defender. She's vice-captain of the Victorian Fury last year, so getting her chance with the Vixens this season.
Great rebound there by Thwaites. Just picked it over the top there from Byfield. We just went a little early on her jump. Wall to Thwaites. Great front cut by Wall. Really cut in front, which is what Julie Hornwick, the coach, had asked. To make sure you take those strong drives, get in front of her player.
The young guns combining. Wall to Thwaites. A rare miss for Caitlin Thwaites. She's shot more goals than anyone else on court this afternoon. 36 from 41 at 88%. Margin's 39.
I don't think Coletto even touched her then, so I'm not sure where the umpire, I think because she went on that baseline, missed the view there.
Julie Coletto played every minute this afternoon, and she has been really terrific. A tower of strength down back.
Taken 5 intercepts for the match so far, so a great performance by Julie Coletto so far.
38 goals, the margin. 1 minute 30 left on the clock. We think they targeted a 40-goal margin pre-game.
Some strong body work there by the defensive unit.
And it's 39 now, so everyone on the edge of their seats, not because of the result, but to see if they can make it a 40-goal margin. And as we tick down into the final minute. And the Pulse.
Julie Coletto, great rebound there, just as we see a hop.
Well, that might have cost them the 40.
I'm getting nervous. Is that really something that I should be doing? Getting nervous, wanting them to get 40 goals?
Moving it down the court quickly. Time ticking down. Crowd on the edge of their seats, Eloise. Wall looking to McMahon. Oh, no. Byfield with the intercept. Manu charging down the court. They've got it back. It's 39 goals the margin. The crowd wants 40. Trying to get it inside. If anyone's going to do it, it's the co-captain.
There's no pressure on the shot. And she's
McMahon
nailed
makes
it.
it 40.
And it's their centre, so they're going to get 40.
Advantage extraction.
Who would have thought a 40-goal margin? Thwaites from long range.
41.
Nothing but
Great
net.
shot.
Makes it 41. And the Vixens have done it. They have done everything in their power to give them every chance to finish on top and host a home final next week. It is over to the Magic because the Vixens have lived up to their end of the bargain with a massive 41-point victory over the Central Pulse. The final score 80-39.
What a great performance by the Vixens, a true team performance. There was lots of changes, and what was great was that all the girls settled into the lineup and kept pushing it. So I think the coaching staff of the Vixens are going to have trouble next week deciding on which lineup to start with, because they've got all options out there and they all did well.
And so the nervous wait begins for the Melbourne Vixens. They play the Magic next week in the first final, but we just don't know where. Will it be back here at a Hisense Arena in Melbourne, or will they have to make the trip over the Tasman and play in New Zealand against the Magic? We'll wait and see. It'll all come down to the Magic v Thunderbirds in Adelaide tomorrow. We'll know the result around 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, but the Vixens have done everything in their power. A massive win, 41 goals.
Just a huge performance there, and disappointing for the Pulse to finish their season this way, to absolutely get annihilated. It was not a pretty performance. Started well in the first quarter, but then after that it was a bit of a blowout.
One of the stars of the show this afternoon, Caitlin Thwaites. She shot 37 from 42 at 88%. She's with Dan at the moment.
Certainly was one of the stars of the show today, Kelly. Caitlin, a couple of seconds left on the clock. One more long bomb, 41 goals. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, it was a really good game and good one for. We've just got to pray, I suppose, for Magic, the Magic and Thunderbirds result. So yeah, we're hoping for top spot.
It would have been a tough game to come into to mentally prepare, knowing that you were probably going to take the win, but it was more about the margin that was the determining factor. How hard was it to try and just stick to the process and not get too caught up in the actual deficit, the margin?
I think during the week, I mean, we looked at Pulse's last game and they played a blinder against Swift, so we weren't going to take them lightly. But yeah, I suppose we had to sort of set ourselves goals per quarter, and that's what sort of did us put us in good stead for the game.
Well, Julie Hornwig ticked all the boxes today, trying all possible combinations that may be used in the finals. Do you reckon you guys are right on track to take out the title this year?
Yeah, I think the last couple of games we've had some really good confidence building and just the way that we've played out on court a full 4 quarters, and I suppose the combinations that we've got, yeah, I suppose good confidence going through to the finals. So
excellent job, Katie. Terrific job. All the best for next week.
thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Caitlin Thwaites, 37 from 42. A strike rate of 88%. She would be happy with that, no doubt about that.
Look, I think it was a great performance by her, and she was a real target and played in front of Byfield, which really gave them good options in attack. So well done, and great really positioning there on court for her.
The season's over for the Central Pulse. Camilla Lee is one of their up-and-coming players. Played centre this afternoon with Dan.
Well, Camilla, a tough day for the Pulse, a big win by the Vixens, but you must be pretty happy with the season for the Pulse and, of course, that first win last week against the Swifts.
It was very exciting last week to get our first win, but we just wanted to finish really strong today, and I think we're all a bit disappointed with that effort. The Vixens punished us with all the silly errors we made, and we really fought hard to finish the season strong, so a little bit disappointed, but not much you can do now.
You've played against all the teams in the competition and just seen the Vixens today. Who do you think is going to take out that first semi-final, the Vixens or the Magic next week?
Well, I have to say the Magic, but the Vixens are looking really strong, but I have to back the Kiwi team.
And what's the plan for you from now in the off-season? You've obviously got World Youth Cup with the Kiwis, and you've been one of the most talked about young and up-and-coming players in New Zealand. You've had a pretty good year yourself.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's my first year in the ANZ, and I feel like I've learned heaps, and once this is finished, we're building for the World Cup in Rarotonga, so that's the next goal and the plan for the next few weeks.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming down to Melbourne for today's game, and good luck for next year.
Thank you. Thanks.
Brave woman, Camilla Lees, predicting that the Magic would win and beat the Vixens in front of the Vixens home crowd here. The crowd's still staying in. They're certainly enjoying a big win from the Melbourne Vixens. And one of the key players this afternoon, Sarah Wall, she's had a big couple of weeks dominating out on court and relishing the court time. Dan, you're with Sarah Wall.
Thanks, Carl. Well, Sarah Wall, you've had a pretty big couple of weeks, as Callie just mentioned. You've had to bide your time a little bit, a lot of bench time at the start of the season, but you're finally getting your opportunity and doing some good stuff out there.
Thanks. It's been a fantastic experience so far, just being a part of this awesome team and still learning so much from Sherelle and Tash, and what an awesome team to be a part of.
And obviously today, Julie really rotated around the lineup. Was it a plan beforehand that she was going to test every combination possible?
Well, we get to the change rooms each week and we don't know what's happening, so everyone's been training really well, and it's just great that they got the opportunity to get out there.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see you running out on the court, Sarah. Good luck for next week.
Thank you.
The Melbourne Vixens smashing the record for the most goals in a match in season 2009. They finished with 80. It was a 41-goal win, a dominant affair at Hisense Arena over the Central Pulse. Don't go away, because right up next, Eloise Southby-Halbish will tell us who got the votes in the all-important Holden Cruz Player of the Year award.
I'm Renee Hallinan, and this was my Saturday afternoon.
And the Pulse today, look, they really were out-muscled and outworked by a tiresome Vixen defence. They played beautifully. Hallinan, Corletto, Chatfield, Abwezi, anyone they put on stepped up to the mark, and they played great netball. On the other hand, their attack was sensational. They got all their shooters on, other than Kathleen Knott. She was the only one to stay on the bench, but a great performance by the Vixens today.
And let's have a look at the final score. And 80 goals they put on the board, the Melbourne Vixens, this afternoon. That is the highest score recorded for season 2008. And they thumped the Pulse in the end by 41 goals. Let's have a look at some of these stats, Eloise. They were just unbelievable today.
They were, look, hardly missed. 87% shooting accuracy when you've got the rotation there and goal is coming on. Great stuff. Intercepts 14, led by Abwezi with 6 and Corletto with 5. Sensational work there by the girls. Rebounds 11, a lot of even offensive rebounds they got. And look at the turnovers, 47. The Pulse cracked the 40 mark. That was due to the pressure that the Vixens put on. It was sensational.
One of the best this afternoon was Julie Corletto, the Melbourne Vixens star defender. She's been good enough to join us post-match. And Julie, we know that pre-match you targeted a figure that you wanted to win by. It was 80 to 39 in the end. Did we get close at all?
Oh, we definitely did. We were just trying to keep them below 10 goals for each quarter, so we're happy with that, getting the 39 goals, and then we're hoping to get over 18. So I think the shooters did so well today, and definitely all of them shooting over 80% was fantastic.
Well, you're in the running for the Holden Cruz Player of the Year award. It has come down to 4. You've almost got one hand on a new car. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that'll be all right. My husband's been watching it closer than me. I'd prefer a premiership, so yeah.
Well, of course, the all-important voting was done by Eloise Southby-Halbish. Eloise, fire away. How did we see it?
Well, Julie Corletto did score the 3. We played sensational today, Julie. And Caitlin Thwaites too. Great shooting percentage by her, and very big target for her in that goal circle for the Vixens. And Natasha Chocolate won. She played sensational as well.
So we'll have a look at the leaderboard very shortly and see how it fares out. But of course, we will not know the result until after tomorrow's Thunderbirds Magic game, which will be played in Adelaide. But here is the leaderboard, Julie. You've hit the top. You lead by 2. There's 24 hours to go. How do you feel?
Yeah, not too bad. Watching the game tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it'll be Liz Ellis and Luke Darcy that'll be judging on that tomorrow. But one last one from you. I mean, how do you feel heading into tomorrow's game? Will you watch it together as a team? Obviously, the Magic, their fate is in there. Your fate is in the Magic's hand as to what happens first week of the finals.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't watch it as a team together, so we'll all be definitely watching it though at home and watching it closely and barracking for the Thunderbirds.
That'd be a first, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
and, I mean, a preference heading into the finals as we have a look at the terrific prize that you could get your hands on very shortly, the Holden Cruz.
Yeah, that'd be
how's the team feeling heading in?
Oh, very good, especially after that game, you know, winning by 41 goals. We didn't expect that at all, so it's a good confidence booster, and I'm certainly looking to the finals. It'll be fantastic to have our first semi here.
Julie Corletto, one hand on the Holden Cruz. It was the Vixens today doing it with ease.
Thank you.
Holden's proud to be the driving force behind the ANZ Championship and proud to bring you all new Holden Cruz.